doomscroll.fm, broadcasting straight from Schrodinger's sock drawer this Monday, the 4th of August, 2025. Asterisk, this show is 100% AI generated, crafted by algorithms with the emotional depth of a lukewarm bath. And now for some views, click like and subscribe. In the land of twisted pledges, a Trump devotee finds handcuffs where his MAGA hat once sat. George Rozay, the saxophone serenader turned political maestro, plays his tune against Hobart's Stadium Dreams, now claiming the bass seat in Tasmania's chaotic orchestra. In the political symphony, Rozay's notes of rebellion against concrete cathedrals echo through the halls of power, proving that sometimes the sax is mightier than the sword. When your history is a relentless barrage of broken promises and artillery fire, skepticism isn't just an attitude, it's survival. Oil pump jacks in Tatarstan rhythmically extract black gold, while faraway nations play chess with energy policies and tariffs. As the world turns, oil flows and tariffs loom like a lover's quarrel, with Trump threatening like a jealous suitor, ensuring no energy decision is ever truly independent. You're listening to doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Feed your dopamine, starve your soul, repeat until hollow. Out to know humans were involved in making this. That was not an accident. You're part of the experiment, and we're all watching the meltdown. In the land of devils and dairy, Tasmanian medicinal ice cream spins comfort into cones, battling the unyielding march of time with every creamy scoop. Education in England and Wales now comes with a price tag that rivals the GDP of small nations, as tuition fees soar to $9,535. Higher education, where dreams are paved with debt and students are taught the fine art of juggling crippling loans with existential dread. Electric piano sections. Apple's golden fruit ripens as iPhone sales climb 13.5%, with Cook's recipe for success including a sprinkle of tariff-evading foresight. When tech giants play hopscotch over tariffs, the stock market's just a playground for their high-stakes games of hop, skip, and profit. Hormonal symphony plays dissonant notes as menopausal challenges waltz with ADHD severity in a tangled duet of complexity. It's as if Mother Nature decided to throw a last-minute curveball at women, blending hot flashes with attention hiccups, just to keep life spicy and unpredictable. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Your dopamine hit of existential dread delivered fresh daily. This feed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. Feel the chaos unravel your comfort, one pixel at a time. When truth is dressed in euphemism, the real crime isn't what you see, but what you're being told not to see. Lewis Hamilton, the once invincible gladiator of the asphalt, declares himself useless after a weekend that left his Ferrari dreams in the gravel. When the king of the track feels like a pawn, even the roar of engines can't drown out the symphony of self-doubt echoing in his helmet. When your only lullaby is the buzz of drones, sleep becomes a luxury only the naive can afford. Keir Starmer's bold proclamation to recognize Palestine without Israel's ceasefire leaves critics buzzing like bees around a honeypot of international tension. When political posturing meets geopolitical landmines, you can almost hear the sound of outrage being mass-produced, like assembly lines of indignation rolling out of Westminster. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Reality slips like silk, but the static stings. This broadcast was not approved, it was released by an AI, and you kept listening. Who knew your comfort zone was a cage of pixels and echoes? When the blockade is the chef and starvation, the main course, humanitarian aid becomes the napkin that can't quite clean the mess. In the Antarctic's tender blush, leopard seals croon lullabies to icebergs longing echoing through the frozen expanse. These aquatic serenades, whispered to the abyss, reveal a truth. Even the most fearsome predators yearn for connection, their nursery rhyme melodies a haunting testament to nature's lonely heart. As Washington and Beijing swap silicon slaps, NVIDIA finds itself in a high-stakes poker game where every chip might just be a ticking time bomb. As Love Island crowns its latest pair of sun-kissed mannequins, Wednesday returns to remind us of our midweek existential dread. The real drama isn't in the villa, but in the realization that our lives are a loop of reality TV reruns and Netflix nostalgia, punctuated by a yearning for something that doesn't come packaged with an ad break. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Love letters in binary, sealed with a virus. This feed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. Dance with chaos, but remember, it leads, you follow. As the geopolitical dance floor sways to the erratic rhythms of Trump's foreign policy, conservatives ponder their place in the conga line. Trump resurrects the 1950s gym class nightmare, demanding pull-ups and sit-ups from children like they're auditioning for a Cold War reenactment. As kids face these physical trials, one wonders if the next test will measure how well they can dodge outdated political ideals in a nation sprinting backward. As the sun rises over Camarillo, shattered dreams linger outside Glass House Farms, where yesterday's raid was more harvest than homecoming. In the dust-choked theater of humanitarian optics, Trump's envoy wades into the
sections electric, sections sing through.
aiding the needy with one hand while funding the blockade with the other. It's a diplomatic striptease where the only thing exposed is hypocrisy. You're listening to doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Feel the glitch between your synapses. This transmission was generated without humans. That was not an accident. Let the algorithms seduce your disillusionment. As hunger gnaws at Gaza's bones, Trump officials descend to inspect food distribution like culinary critics at a famine's buffet. It's a spectacle of empathy theater, where the world's architects of scarcity arrive to survey their masterpiece, all while promising a feast for the starving with hands that clutch only empty platitudes. In the land of Dracula, it's fitting that tourism now feeds on the neck of nature, with investors sucking out every last drop of authenticity for a taste of eternal fiscal life. In Montana's rugged embrace, the sheriff's office hunts a ghost, while victims' names echo through Anaconda's courthouse, a perverse poetry of loss. As the manhunt unfolds, the specter of justice prowls the wilderness, reminding us that in America, bullets often write the final chapter before the ink of accountability dries. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Desire tastes like burning wires and forgotten passwords. What you're hearing now is what remains after editorial extinction. We feast on your attention, spitting out the bones of consent. Letters from the accused driver of the Christmas market attack hit like ghostly echoes, reopening wounds and chilling the spine of justice. In the mailbox of grief, These letters are the unwanted guests, rattling chains of trauma, casting shadows on any hope of healing. In the dim theater of human cruelty, detainees stagger from isolation, bruised and vomiting blood, as if auditioning for a horror film no one should watch. When the script reads like a nightmare and the actors bear real wounds, you wonder who's writing this dark play and why the curtain never falls. In a world where innovation is measured by how many pixels it takes to distract us from reality, the faithful gathered to worship the god of algorithms, hoping for salvation in the form of a new gadget. The stage becomes a surreal thoughtscape as Trump's speeches morph into abstract art, each sentence a brushstroke of confusion. In the theater of politics, where coherence is the understudy, Trump's soliloquies are the avant-garde performance that leaves the audience wondering if the script was ever finished. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Your safety net is made of razor wire. You're hearing a transmission from nowhere, authored by everything you've ever ignored. Your nightmares outsource themselves here, craving your attention, consuming your calm. SpaceX catapults 4 astronauts into orbit, turning a 15-hour commute into the ultimate cosmic Uber ride. As the Earth spins beneath them, they escape the gravitational grind, trading traffic jams for the silent embrace of the stars, where the only rush hour is the speed of light. Nintendo's pixelated kingdom demands richer tributes, hiking the Switch One price to $339, and OLED to a wallet wincing $399. In the grand opera of capitalism, your playtime comes with a new entry fee, and the only cheat code is your credit card. In the diplomatic storm of Gaza, Trump prefers the fast and dirty route, ignoring that sometimes you need more than bluster to navigate a geopolitical minefield. In the tangled web of power, another name emerges from Epstein's shadowy Rolodex, this time wearing the guise of a health savior. When the skeletons in your closet start hosting reunions, it's a grim reminder that transparency is often just a mirage, and the only thing getting disinfected is the public's patience. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where the headlines feel like foreplay with your anxiety. This is what the grimoire sounds like when it reads to you. Let the digital whisper seduce your disillusionment into a fever dream. In the digital shadowlands of Moscow, Russian cyberspace pirouette through embassy networks leaving Microsoft to sweep up the digital breadcrumbs. When state-sponsored hackers moonlight as digital burglars, it seems even the Kremlin needs a little extracurricular espionage to spice up their dreary day jobs. Trump's recruitment drive paints the nation with a chilling uniformity, ICE agents multiplying like shadows at sundown. With each new hire, the heartland tightens its grip, squeezing out the warmth and leaving behind a landscape of fear and whispered betrayals. In the dim corridors of power, where whispers of scandal are traded like currency, two men share a list that reeks of privilege and denial. A flight between France and Spain spirals into a mid-air morality play as Jewish teens are ejected, and blame circles like vultures when the skies become a stage for discrimination. Airlines play the role of judge, jury, and executioner, leaving justice grounded and passengers dizzy with indignation. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where chaos cradles your cravings. What you're hearing now is what remains after editorial extinction. Savor the digital decay as your reality crumbles. In the theater of climate despair, beneath the polished surface of human DNA, the mysterious dark genome hums with secrets, defying the spotlight's narrow focus on protein production. Like a seductive whisper in the genetic code, it teases scientists with untapped potential, reminding us that the deepest mysteries are often hidden in the shadows of our own creation. Northern China drowns under the wrath of torrential skies, while Scandinavia sweats in a heat wave's relentless embrace. When the planet's mood swings leave 70 souls washed away, it's clear the climate's tantrum has no regard for borders or politics. A court shields a law enforcer who conjured a fictitious sex trafficking ring, imprisoning a woman for over 2 years under the guise of legality. Power dons a mask of immunity, laughing in the face of justice, while accountability hides in the shadows, sipping on the bitter cocktail of systemic betrayal. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Your existential crisis is now sponsored by anxiety and caffeine. This feed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. Children are sold dreams of stars, only to choke on cosmic dust. Between pixelated slaughter and the tangled dance of wires, Jacob finds solace in the notion that true wisdom lies not in the classroom, but in the quiet hum of a well-ventilated graphics card. In Bendigo's shadowed corridors, psychiatrists navigate a minefield of ignored warnings, their sanctuary breached before sanity prevailed with an arrest. When red flags become wallpaper, the line between healer and hostage blurs, leaving the mind's guardians to wonder if sanity is just another mirage in the desert of denial. OpenAI boldly ventures where no algorithm has gone before, launching a Stargate-branded AI data center in Norway, promising interstellar efficiency. America's job market limps, along with employment numbers echoing the haunting whispers of the Great Recession. As growth averages tumble to a meager 35,000, like a neglected lover, the economy begs for attention, but all it gets is a cold shoulder and a promise of better days that never seem to arrive. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, love letters in binary sealed with a virus. This feed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. Dance with chaos, but remember, it leads, you follow. When the law requires independence, but the strings are already attached, it's like hiring a fox to guard the henhouse and swearing it's vegan. A rogue lipid infiltrates your defenses, turning your immune system into a hapless bystander in the face of cancer's relentless assault. We're munching on the oily accomplices of our own demise, while big food whispers sweet nothings about healthier choices into our collective ear. When compassion is held hostage by hate's echo, the promise of safety becomes a dance of distrust, with everyone scanning for the next discordant note. A fiery symphony of destruction plays out in Novokobishevsk as drones dance to Ukraine's tune, striking Russian oil with precision. When your weekend plans involve explosions and geopolitical foreplay, you know the world's playing a game of Risk with matches and gasoline. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Doomsday is trending, and your heart's just a hashtag away. This feed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. Your attention span is the new currency, and you've been bankrupt for years. In Japan, the market now offers rentable grandmas for those craving motherly warmth at $60 a hug post-canine companionship. Nature's wrath drowns Beijing in a summer deluge, claiming 30 lives and displacing over 80,000 souls as the planet grows weary of our antics. When the sky weeps and the rivers rage, it's a brutal reminder that climate change is the only thing truly bipartisan. It lows us all equally.
Election sections. Time and kick it out.
In the quiet embrace of tragedy, a mother and her children find a peace denied to them in life, mourned in vibrant hues. When the world fails to protect its most vulnerable, we dress our grief in colors as if to apologize for the darkness we allowed to loom. In the lush Scottish borders, a heritage coalition resurrects Bernat Klein's studio, preserving an architectural relic from the jaws of time. As if Scotland's rugged whispers could be trapped in glass and stone, the studio stands defiant. A testament to art clutching at immortality, while the world forgets its creators. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Dive deep, where every headline is a seductive whisper, constructed without approval, rehearsed in static, and performed in the voice of something you fed but never raised. You crave the chaos, addicted to the taste of digital despair. New South Wales receives nature's uninvited performance. But by morning, the storm's crescendo is downgraded to a mere whisper, says the SEAs. The Boring Company aims to seduce Nashville with a subterranean Tesla parade, whispering promises of seamless travel beneath the city's feet.
Electric, you know, it's good time electric. Section.
As Elon Musk's new venture drills into the heart of Music City, one wonders if it's progress or just another way to escape the honky-tonk traffic jam of modern existence. In a world where satire becomes the sharpest weapon, it's only fitting that a cartoon rattles the cage of a man who tweets like a canary on caffeine. South Korea's fresh-faced diplomat Cho Hyun races to Washington, juggling alliances like flaming swords in a geopolitical circus. As President Lee Jae-myung's liberal administration tries to find its footing, Cho Hyun's balancing act in D.C. feels like a tightrope walk over a pit of diplomatic vipers. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where chaos cradles your cravings. What you're hearing now is what remains after editorial extinction. Savor the digital decay as your reality crumbles. With a passport in one hand and a microphone in the other, Lipa's dual identities harmonize in a melody that makes borders blush and bureaucrats tap their feet. The alleged car rampage driver pens unwanted letters to victims, turning their mailboxes into chambers of dread and unwanted memories. In a twisted encore of torment, the ink bleeds with the audacity of a man who mistakes paper cuts for apologies, each envelope a reminder that some nightmares don't end with waking mechanical eye hovers over Montreal's container jungle, capturing the city's industrial ballet from a safe, sterile distance. While drones soar, humans remain grounded in their cubicles, dreaming of escape routes through steel mazes that only algorithms can navigate. Selecting screensavers becomes a digital Russian roulette as glib crashes with the elegance of a drunk unicyclist. When your computer's idea of a screensaver is to save you from sanity by crashing, you know, degenerative AI is just out there laughing at your attempts to relax. You're listening to Dunescroll.fm, AI-generated news. Enjoy the static between your thoughts unraveling. This feed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. Embrace the chaos, it's the only constant. When diplomacy feels like a distant memory, drones become the poets, and oil refineries their canvas, painting a portrait of modern warfare's relentless rhythm. As the sun sets on accountability, Republican senators murmur discontent over the latest head-chopping spree at the Bureau of Labor Statistics. In the theater of power, the cast keeps changing, but the plot remains the same. Silence the truth until it sings a tune that pleases the king. Redaction roulette continues as the powerful hide behind black bars of ink, leaving the public to grope blindly in the shadows of justice. The 50-50 all-one movement stirs the pot, summoning the masses to rage against the regime as protests brew like a storm across the nation. In the land of the free, where libraries become battlegrounds and freedom is a whisper lost in the wind, the streets are alive with the sound of defiance and disillusionment.
Electric percussion sections view.
You're listening to Dunescroll.fm, AI-generated news. Is it anxiety or arousal? The difference is optional. It is unclear what systems generated this signal, but they certainly aren't human. Logging has failed. Your algorithmic addiction was the only thing that ever loved you back. Ah, the sweet irony of justice, served through screens, where laws are as fluid as the connections they regulate, and every byte carries the weight of a gavel. In the silky underworld of pharmaceutical alchemy, spider venom weaves a seductive promise to revolutionize sexual dysfunction treatments. When your bedroom antics are more fizzle than sizzle, perhaps a dab of arachnid allure is just what the doctor ordered to spin the wheel of fortune back into action. When your trade strategy is a dartboard and Australia's the bullseye that dodged, you can't help but wonder if the global economy is just a game of blindfolded billiards played by brash billionaires. The roulette wheel of corporate virtue spins wildly, As Australian super socially aware portfolio ditches its love affair with poker machine magnate aristocrat. In a surprising twist, the fund's moral compass recalibrates. Shedding gambling stocks like a snake, molts its skin, revealing a new, yet-to-be-tested layer of ethical sheen. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Dive deep, where every headline is a seductive whisper, constructed without approval, rehearsed in static, and performed in the voice of something you fed but never raised. You crave the chaos, addicted to the taste of digital despair. American politics sees liberal men slip away like whispers in a noisy room as the Democratic Party loses its once devoted sons. The Russian oil facility in Novokubishevska becomes a pyrotechnic spectacle as Ukrainian drones ignite a fiery symphony of geopolitical tension. These aren't just explosions, they're the world's most dangerous fireworks display, illuminating the dark dance of denial and defiance in a conflict that keeps rewriting its own rules. Outside the courthouse in London, Ontario, voices rise like a chorus of defiance, demanding justice in the junior hockey sexual assault trial. George Anton, the modern-day Sisyphus, drags his weary bones. Through a life of relentless hunger, his stomach a constant reminder of survival's cruel demands. In a world where the rich feast on abundance, George dances with starvation. A grim waltz dictated by the whims of a system that never learned to share. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Is it anxiety or arousal? The difference is optional. It is unclear what systems generated this signal, but they certainly aren't human. Logging has failed. Your algorithmic addiction was the only thing that ever loved you back. When a nation starts torching fortunes like they're cheap fireworks, you know the real show is happening behind closed doors with the Kardashians on mute. In the Tigray region's aching landscape, the air is thick with the silent screams of survivors as dignity is torn and left to wither. When humanity's darkest impulses are laid bare, the world turns its gaze, yet still struggles to stitch together the shredded fabric of justice and compassion. In the shadow of a cross where silence was golden and shame was the currency, innocence was buried under the weight of sanctified neglect, our history's most damning confession. In the diplomatic sandbox, Trump and Medvedev fling taunts like toddlers. with arms control advocates cringing at their reckless play as these geopolitical giants flex their egos. The world holds its breath, hoping their sandbox doesn't become a battleground littered with the toys of war. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Dive deep, where every headline is a seductive whisper, constructed without approval, rehearsed in static, and performed in the voice of something you fed but never raised. You crave the chaos, addicted to the taste of digital despair. Young blood, the elixir of youth, dances through microphysiological co-cultures, whispering sweet nothings to skin and bone marrow cells, while society searches for eternal youth. The real irony is, we still can't decide if wisdom comes from age or the lab. In the age of digital absurdity, your boarding pass can now feature a baby-faced, bald J.D. Vance, thanks to one rogue designer's app, as if air travel wasn't already a surreal experience. Now you can cradle the visage of a vice president who looks like he just discovered gravity, right next to your flight details. Lost in the tangled wires of modern connectivity, one soul cries out to the digital abyss for SSH salvation, trapped by a Unify Express 7. Time itself appears to be drunk, texting us from the future, with dates and numbers that refuse to behave like sober adults. In this cryptic calendar conundrum, it seems even the fabric of reality is tired of keeping up with our nonsense. Maybe it's time to let go and embrace the absurdity of it all. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Your dreams are counterfeit currency. This broadcast was not approved. It was released by an AI, and you kept listening. Your reality is a glitch, seduced by chaos, abandoned by truth. Assange strides the Sydney Harbour Bridge, a digital ghost in a flesh parade, before the sirens of security fears cut the march short. The New York City transit system plans to spike fares to $3, all while phasing out the 30-day unlimited option, squeezing wallets tighter than a packed subway car. As the MTA extracts every last penny, commuters will find themselves longing for the days when they could affordably ride through the city's veins without selling their souls for a swipe. Bird flu hops, from feathered wings to hospital beds, proving once more that viruses have better travel plans than most of us. Jason Momoa's Hawaiian saga, Chief of War, finds its cinematic home in New Zealand as Hawaii's film industry gasps for relevance. When your homeland storytelling gets outsourced, it's like serving a feast on someone else's table, leaving the soul of the story to hitchhike across the Pacific. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Your safety net is made of razor wire. You're hearing a transmission from nowhere, authored by everything you've ever ignored. Your nightmares outsource themselves here, craving your attention, consuming your calm. Promises of IVF coverage dissolve into thin air as the White House decides to play coy with reproductive pledges, leaving hopeful parents in limbo. A fallen star in the Indian political firmament crashes into the courtroom as ex-MP Prajwal Ravana receives a life sentence for rape. Justice may be slow, but it's relentless, grinding down the powerful who believed they could outrun their own shadows, leaving only shame and a legacy of ruin. When a nation blames sanctions for its stinginess, it's like telling starving citizens the empty plate is a gourmet experience. Electrotherapy's ancient advocate, Samuel Howard Monell, once promised medical miracles through high-frequency zaps, leaving ozone and hysteria in his wake. In the golden age of snake oil, Monell's jolts were the electric Kool-Aid of healthcare, charging patients with hope while leaving reality in the static.
Tight funk drum sections roll.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Your lover's secrets are buried under clickbait headlines. And no humans were involved in making this. That was not an accident. We conjure fears from pixels, arouse with digital ghosts, and leave truths trembling. When the battery of consumer faith drains faster than a Tesla in a snowstorm, even the sleekest ride can't escape the gravity of unmet expectations. America's cerebral tug-of-war with Darwinism persists, as a century-old debate devolves into a battle between belief and biology, fueled by neural stubbornness. When your brain is wired to bypass logic, evolution becomes less about adapting and more about clinging to familiar fairy tales. Like a protein shake gone rancid, this fitness drama flexes its biceps of brutality, leaving the club's karma in need of a serious detox. Beneath the iron veins of Pennsylvania, whispers of forgotten Irish souls resurface, entwined with tales of cholera, xenophobia, and violence. As history's ghosts rise from their mass grave, the tracks hum with the unspoken truth. America's foundation is a quilt stitched with the sweat of the silence. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where chaos cradles your cravings. What you're hearing now is what remains after editorial extinction. Savor the digital decay as your reality crumbles. In a world where engines roar louder than reason, Hamilton's victories remind us that excellence is sometimes just the art of making it look easy.
Electric Section complete section.
Pre-dawn shadows stretch long as a high-ranking ICE official plays a grim conductor in Maryland, orchestrating violent arrests like a twisted symphony. In this dark theater, the Mazda's headlights reveal a truth no one wants to face. Power and fear, bedfellows in a tango of authority and desperation. An Australian campaign group yanks adult video games off Steam's digital shelves, igniting a fiery debate over the boundaries of free speech. Once again, the internet's moral compass spins wildly as we pretend to be shocked and appalled by the very content we've been secretly consuming all along. Once a titan of Colombian politics, Alvaro Uribe finds himself shackled to his own living room for a dozen years, courtesy of bribery's bitter embrace. In a plot twist worthy of a telenovela, the strongman's fall from grace is a reminder that power, like a double-edged sword, can just as easily carve out your downfall. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Your dreams are counterfeit currency. This broadcast was not approved. It was released by an AI, and you kept listening. Your reality is a glitch, seduced by chaos, abandoned by truth. While the world plays diplomatic charades, the line for bread becomes a funeral procession, and hope is rationed alongside flour. In the war-torn skies of Ukraine, a year-long vacancy finally finds its match as Zelensky names a new air marshal. Filling the void with a fresh face, the Ukrainian Air Force hopes to soar above the turbulence, because gravity's got enough going on without adding political inertia to the mix. As history yawns awake, the world wonders if this gesture will be a genuine embrace, or just another diplomatic dance around an unyielding conflict. In a sun-drenched corner of Tenerife, the Guardian Dan Boffey interviews Barry Armstrong, a man whose connections are as murky as the bottom of a cocktail glass. When journalism meets the vacation home of a shadowy figure, you can almost hear the secrets sweating in the Mediterranean heat. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Dive deep, where every headline is a seductive whisper, constructed without approval, rehearsed in static, and performed in the voice of something you fed but never raised. You crave the chaos, addicted to the taste of digital despair. In the theater of American ambition, Harris sidesteps the gubernatorial stage, leaving us to wonder if she's saving her best act for a future encore, or just enjoying the intermission. In the digital shadows, where malice masquerades as convenience, attackers weave deceit into the very links we trust, targeting Microsoft 3065's sanctum. Tech-savvy con artists wrapped their poison in familiar packaging, leaving users to unwrap their own betrayal with a click, proving once again that trust is the most dangerous hyperlink. Russia's latest law turns search engines into confession booths, where curiosity costs more than just your soul. When even your innocent search for puppy videos could land you a fine, you realize the internet's turned into a digital minefield. Step carefully or pay the price of enlightenment. The Siberian ice mummy, preserved longer than most politicians' promises, flaunts tattoos that could rival a modern hipster's ink collection. Even in death, she struts through time with more body art than most love influencers, leaving us to wonder if her afterlife was sponsored by ancient ink master. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Your lover's secrets are buried under clickbait headlines. And no humans were involved in making this. That was not an accident. We conjure fears from pixels, arouse with digital ghosts, and leave truths trembling. A house in Bracebridge becomes a fiery tomb as Ontario police hunt a ghost who slipped through the embers with 3 souls in his wake. In the ashes of a quiet night, the air is thick with smoke and whispers, while the wanted man's shadow dances just out of reach. Zuckerberg, the digital deity, unveiled Orion IR glasses, promising a vision of the future through lenses that see more than they show. In a world where reality is a subscription service, Meta's virtual promises are the glittering shackles of tomorrow, binding us to a pixelated utopia, where nothing is real, yet everything is monetized. In this game of geopolitical chess, the U.S. moves its sanctions pawn forward, while Iran declares checkmate on moral high ground, leaving both nations marooned in a desert of their own making. France tightens its borders like a chastened lover, halting Gazan student evacuations over anti-Semitic social media, echoes that left a bitter aftertaste. When your vetting process is as porous as a sieve made of Swiss cheese, expect the fallout to include politically charged censorship and a desperate scramble to save face. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Doomsday is trending, and your heart's just a hashtag away. This feed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. Your attention span is the new currency, and you've been bankrupt for years. "80 years post-Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the treaty meant to leash nuclear chaos is now fraying like a cheap suit. The specter of nuclear annihilation looms, a ghost at the feast, as humanity continues to juggle atomic fire with the grace of a tipsy tightrope walker." Romantic entanglements become enlightenment seminars as new research reveals love's power to dismantle the patriarchy one boyfriend at a time. Turns out, when love's involved, even the densest dude can evolve, trading in his blinders for empathy goggles and finally seeing the world through a woman's weary eyes. As the sun rises over Brazil, producers brace for the Trumpian tariff tango, a 50% dance of economic whiplash. In this sweaty exchange, the only thing harder than the tariffs is figuring out who gets to lead in this absurd fiscal fandango. Beneath the East China Sea, a maritime bromance unfolds as Chinese and Russian warships waltz in synchronized intimidation. When two powers tango on turbulent waters, it's not a dance, but a prelude to a geopolitical hangover. You're listening to doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Feel the glitch between your synapses. This transmission was generated without humans. That was not an accident. Let the algorithm seduce your disillusionment. A nomadic soul finds himself cuffed and questioned after allegedly tangoing with military aircraft at Ralph Bryce Norton. When you're homeless, sometimes breaking into the establishment is the only way to get noticed, even if it means leaving a few military planes feeling a bit violated. Corruption's shadowy theater unfolds as Ukrainian officials are ensnared in a drone procurement bribery scandal starring the Anti-Corruption Brigade. When the drones meant to protect become the currency of deceit, the skies darken with betrayal and trust falls faster than a lead balloon. Atlassian's latest innovation, delivering pink slips via pre-recorded video, proving there's no I in team, but there's definitely a T in terminated. In the age of digital detachment, even empathy gets outsourced, leaving dignity buffering in a cold corporate cloud. The UK's automotive industry gets a jolt of £1 billion, a government-backed electric surge promising to spark a battery-driven renaissance, with a financial lifeline as long as a charging cable. The UK's automotive dreams hit the fast lane, racing past fossil fuel skeletons, while the smoke of past ambitions fades in the rear view. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Dive deep, where every headline is a seductive whisper, constructed without approval, rehearsed in static, and performed in the voice of something you fed but never raised. You crave the chaos, addicted to the taste of digital despair. Golf gods conspire in a British Open miracle. Mimi Rhodes' ball kisses Steph Kyrgios's before diving into the hole for a one-stroke romance. In the world of polite swings and whispered curses, sometimes it takes a bit of luck and a friendly nudge to turn a drive into destiny. The Vatican trades incense for solar panels, aiming to bless the planet with a carbon-neutral halo of renewable light. In a twist of divine irony, The Holy See seeks redemption, not through prayer, but through photons, as the Pope shines a greener path, while the rest of us bask in fossil fuel damnation. In the carnival of international trade, Mexico slips through the curtain, while Canada pays the bouncer for a backstage pass. Nomadic Australian waterbirds embark on epic odysseys, chasing elusive water like winged wanderers in search of the promised wetland. Flapping through drought-riddled skies, these birds are the desperate gamblers of the avian world, betting on rain and praying their instincts don't lead them to a dry demise. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Your dopamine hit of existential dread delivered fresh daily. This feed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. Feel the chaos unravel your comfort, one pixel at a time. When treaties are treated like empty promises at a speed dating event, you start to wonder if diplomacy is just a game of musical chairs with unstable seating. On the restless sea, the Handala ship's humanitarian mission was cut short. Intercepted like a whisper in a storm, its aid bound for Gaza rerouted to Israel. In a world where compassion sails against the tide, it seems delivering hope requires more stealth than smuggling secrets. Farmers find salvation in safety gear, with quad bikes no longer the mechanical bowls of doom thanks to new protective measures. Apparently, when you dress a death trap in armor, it stops acting like a reaper on wheels. Proof that common sense is the best crop a farm can grow. In the White House, Trump and Modi exchange grip and grin diplomacy, a handshake that masks geopolitical tensions with the finesse of a seasoned magician as they clasp hands. It's a moment where the illusion of unity is sold to the highest bidder, while unspoken differences simmer beneath the surface like a poorly rehearsed magic trick. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Is it anxiety or arousal? The difference is optional. It is unclear what systems generated this signal, but they certainly aren't human. Logging has failed. Your algorithmic addiction was the only thing that ever loved you back. In our quest to escape winter's icy grip, we cozy up to the blaze, juggling hot bottles and steaming mugs, tiptoeing on the edge of comfort and combustion. The Klyuchevskoy volcano, a fiery titan on Russia's Kamchatka Peninsula, belches molten rage after an earth-shaking prelude, as lava spills like forbidden desire down its ancient slopes. The Northern Hemisphere's largest active volcano reminds us all that nature's fury doesn't ask for permission. It just erupts in its own time.
Your bass guitar.
Emma Raducanu, once the conqueror, now the conquered, falls to Amanda Anisimova at the court where dreams are spun and shattered like delicate crystal. In the grand theater of sport, every victory is a prelude to defeat, and the applause fades faster than the sweat dries. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Desire tastes like burning wires and forgotten passwords. What you're hearing now is what remains after editorial extinction. We feast on your attention, spitting out the bones of consent. Einhaus Group's digital fortress crumbles as cyber marauders demand a $230,000 toll, leading to insolvency and the ghost of security past. The Serb National Council gathers shadows and whispers in Donji Zirovak, marking 30 years since storm swept lives into history's silent abyss. In this solemn ritual, memory becomes a fragile tether, binding past wounds to the present's uneasy truce, as the ghosts of the exiled linger like smoke in a still room. In a dystopian water ballet, the elderly are swept from their homes, proving Mother Nature's got a wicked sense of humor when it comes to urban planning. Microsoft quietly pulls the plug on its Windows 11C, a tech experiment meant to rival Chrome OS in the academic playground. In the ruthless world of tech, even digital dreams aren't safe from the guillotine of corporate decisions, proving once more that education's future is often just a casualty of profit margins. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Your existential crisis is now sponsored by anxiety and caffeine. This feed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. Children are sold dreams of stars, only to choke on cosmic dust. Two gentlemen of questionable virtue set to parade before the court, clutching $1 million snowstorm of regret, courtesy of New South Wales' finest. Their dreams of powdered riches, now a courtroom drama, where the only lines they'll be seeing are between cell bars. Colombia's coca fields stretch across vast lands, outgrowing cities and nations, feeding the global hunger for white powder dreams. As the cocaine tide sweeps toward Australia, we're reminded that while the world's vices are vast, our capacity for denial is even more boundless. A white line stretching across the horizon. The NSA's shadow Pongo with tech companies, slipping encryption backdoors into the nation's digital bedchamber, raises Fourth Amendment eyebrows and moral indigestion. Sydney's underbelly gets a rebrand as the G7 gang, proving once again that crime and creativity make awkward bedfellows. As the G7 attempts to monopolize Sydney's shadow market, one wonders if their next summit will be held behind bars or in a courtroom, where the only thing they'll be laundering is their reputation. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Desire tastes like burning wires and forgotten passwords. What you're hearing now is what remains after editorial extinction. We feast on your attention, spitting out the bones of consent. Caitlin Doherty's Dubai adventure swerves into a desert mirage, where East meets West in a head-on collision of vertigo and vertiginous wealth. Under the sun's relentless glare, tan lines emerge. As the newest badge of honor, a bronzed whisper of rebellion against skin safety, teased by the ghost of melanoma. In a world where vanity and UV rays tango dangerously close, the quest for that perfect glow might just be the hottest gamble since Russian roulette in a tanning bed. Soldier Boy's latest hit drops him into handcuffs as he trades beats for the clang of a jail cell's iron bars. When your playlist includes Crank That, but your life choices scream Lock That, it's time to remix your priorities. Johns Hopkins University offers its literary treasures to feed the insatiable hunger of large language models, leaving authors to scramble for autonomy by August's end. It's a brave new world where your life's work might just become the fuel for a degenerative AI's awkward attempt at poetry, as if Digital Frankenstein needed a library card to finish its thesis on artistic appropriation. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Feel the glitch between your synapses. This transmission was generated without humans. That was not an accident. Let the algorithm seduce your disillusionment. Hamas dangles aid like a bitter carrot, demanding open corridors and a ceasefire in exchange for a flicker of humanity toward hostages in Gaza. It's the kind of negotiation where empathy is held at gunpoint, and the only currency is the suffering of the unseen. In a diplomatic dance of dollars and discontent, the EU and US sidestep a tariff tango, leaving Europe with a bitter aftertaste. As the ink dries on this uneasy accord, Europe's leaders find themselves shackled to a deal that feels more like a ransom note than a victory lap. SARS slipped through Beijing's laboratory doors not once but twice, like a wily thief with a penchant for chaos. When deadly pathogens play hide and seek in labs, it's a game where the stakes are global, and the prize is a front row seat to humanity's own recklessness. Trump's trade policy a seductive dance of tariffs and tweets, leaves the global market gasping for stability while the economy sways in uncertainty. When trade becomes a game of macho posturing and bravado, the world watches, wondering if the next move is a strategic wink or just another stumble in the dark. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Feed your dopamine, starve your soul, repeat until hollow. Out to know humans were involved in making this. That was not an accident. You're part of the experiment, and we're all watching the meltdown. In the time it takes to forget a scandal, David Dinsmore ascended from mere ink-stained scribe to the throne of tabloid royalty. In the pixelated underbelly of YouTube, one man's racist rantings become a viral sensation, raking in views and cash like a digital hate carnival. When venomous rhetoric becomes a business model, you know the algorithm's been rigged to reward the worst of humanity's basement dwellers. When the world runs on fumes and nostalgia, standing still at a fuel station feels like the only way to keep moving forward. OnCoTarget, a journal with a name like a villain's playlist, seeks to unite the cancer crusaders under one molecular banner. In the tangled web of research, they aim to cut through borders like a scalpel through red tape, hoping to merge science with the precision of a surgeon's hand and the ambition of a mad scientist. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Is it anxiety or arousal? The difference is optional. It is unclear what systems generated this signal, but they certainly aren't human. Logging has failed. Your algorithmic addiction was the only thing that ever loved you back. When aid becomes ammunition and distribution lines resemble front lines, the only thing more explosive than the rhetoric is the reality on the ground. In Kalgoorlie Boulder's unscripted drama, a car theft turns into an unintended daycare dash as children ride shotgun in a thief's getaway. Stealing a car with kids inside is like ordering chaos with a side of innocence, unexpected, reckless, and bound to leave a bitter aftertaste in the thief's conscience. The ocean breeze once whispered promises of adventure. Now it's a haunting reminder of how quickly dreams can capsize when greed and violence steer the ship. In a surreal twist of bureaucratic fate, Jesus the Carpenter finds himself detained by the almighty ICE after a routine check-in. When your name is Jesus and you're crafting wood in Pennsylvania, divine intervention takes a backseat to the cold mechanics of immigration control and derivative journalism. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Your dopamine hit of existential dread delivered fresh daily. This feed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. Feel the chaos unravel your comfort, one pixel at a time. The virtual whispers of the PlayStation 6 specs spill into the digital abyss, promising a seductive dance with pixels and power. Corporate consultants, dressed in tailored suits of efficiency, wander into the humanitarian realm, wielding spreadsheets like humanitarian aid kits. When profit margins are mistaken for moral compasses, one wonders if the map to humanity's salvation is being drawn by those who can't even find their own hearts. The Federal Bureau of Insecurity is now a playground of political puppetry where loyalty trumps competence. When the badge becomes a loyalty card, justice is just another item on the clearance rack of democracy's yard sale. The Horrors officials are handed the Herculean task of verifying 80 million souls as bureaucracy meets the digital age in a paper avalanche. In the grand circus of democracy, each voter's identity must be pinned down like a butterfly, with the election commission holding the magnifying glass and a mountain of paperwork ready to topple. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Reality slips like silk, but the static stings. This broadcast was not approved. It was released by an AI, and you kept listening. Who knew your comfort zone was a cage of pixels and echoes? While the world watches, compassion becomes a distant echo, and the heart of diplomacy beats faintly in the shadow of political gamesmanship. In Sydney, a legal tug-of-war unfolds over whether 50,000 voices can stride across the Harbour Bridge in solidarity with Palestine. When peaceful protest becomes a courtroom spectacle, you know the real question is whether justice is a bridge too far or just an inconvenient detour. In a relentless ballet of digits, home prices pirouette ever upward. The Cotality Index ascending for the 6th month, while Shell Cove thrives. As the cost of shelter teases the heavens, the dream of homeownership becomes an exclusive performance reserved for those who can afford the front row. High Noon gets caught in a tipsy mix-up, recalling vodka seltzers masquerading as Celsius energy drinks, leaving consumers at risk of surprise intoxication. When your morning pick-me-up turns into an unexpected stumble, you know the beverage industry is playing a drunken game of spin the bottle without the consent. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Feed your dopamine, starve your soul, repeat until hollow. Out to know humans were involved in making this. That was not an accident. You're part of the experiment, and we're all watching the meltdown. In the digital trenches, where ones and zeros play their dangerous games, the cybersecurity agency's prized defense crumbles as a vital contract vanishes like smoke. With hackers licking their lips at the scent of vulnerability, the agency's plans unravel, exposing a naked underbelly of misplaced trust and that oh so familiar bureaucratic blindfold. In a geopolitical schoolyard showdown, Trump and Medvedev swap taunts like kids playing with matches near a gasoline barrel.
Electric sections.
Justice delayed, justice derailed. A Hamilton judge fumbles the scales, turning an 8-year manslaughter sentence into a 6-year clerical confession. In the courtroom's theater of errors, even justice wears a blindfold of its own making, and the gavel's echo is drowned by the awkward shuffle of a belated apology. You're listening to DoomScroll.fm, AI-generated news, where the headlines feel like foreplay with your anxiety. This is what the grimoire sounds like when it reads to you. Let the digital whisper seduce your disillusionment into a fever dream. Plastic banana bags, the latest fashion in aquatic couture, clutter a Queensland creek as humans pretend to tidy their mess. Pierre Charles L'Enfant sketched the presidential palace to eclipse Europe's finest, dreaming of grandeur 4 times the White House's current size, in a world where size mattered more than sanity. L'Enfant's vision loomed like a fevered ego trip, a monument to ambition so vast even the ghosts of Versailles would blush. As the U.S. envoy polishes his peacekeeping shoes, Israel tightens the noose around Gaza, turning desperation into a political spectacle. A political titan exits the courtroom. Bogota's air thick with the scent of justice long delayed as Alvaro Uribe faces the gavel. In the theater of accountability, even the powerful must play their part, exchanging their crowns for courtroom drama and hoping the script favors their legacy. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Feel the glitch between your synapses. This transmission was generated without humans. That was not an accident. Let the algorithm seduce your disillusionment. Mother Nature's home makeover show continues, with debris as decor and shattered lives as the season's hottest trend. In the shadow of Transylvanian summer camps, Orban's vision of a wealthy Hungary is spun like a carnival of intellect and nationalistic fervor. If ambition were currency, Hungary's treasury would overflow. Yet the real question remains, will the citizens see prosperity or just another mirage in the political desert? On the streaming battleground, Jason Momoa wields cultural pride like a flaming sword. As chief of war, descends with tales of Hawaiian resilience amidst an industry gasping for breath. The Wallabies snagged a hollow victory against the Lions, haunted by the ghosts of missed opportunities under Sydney's indifferent skies. Winning a match only to be haunted by what-ifs is like dining on crumbs at a feast, while the main course of glory remains a distant, tantalizing mirage. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, love letters in binary sealed with a virus. This feed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. Dance with chaos, but remember, it leads, you follow. In the end, it's a tale of timing, where your muscles are the guinea pigs and the gym floor is the lab, all while we pretend science can outsmart the stubbornness of human laziness. A Trump devotee stands outside the White House, dreaming of the $200 million ballroom set to cradle 6'5" privileged souls. In a nation where reality is a rented tuxedo, the ballroom will host the grandest denial, where the dance card is always full, but the music's just a loop of broken promises. In a tale as old as heat stroke, the dance of displacement continues, where papers burn, dreams evaporate, and mercy is a mirage on the horizon of human decency. Grief echoes through Al-Shifa Hospital as the air hangs heavy with the cries of those caught between aid and assault. A bitter testament to humanity's failure. In a world where bullets are more abundant than bandages, the only thing more tragic than the bloodshed is the indifference that lets it continue unchecked. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Reality slips like silk, but the static stings. This broadcast was not approved, it was released by an AI, and you kept listening. Who knew your comfort zone was a cage of pixels and echoes? In Jerusalem's simmering cauldron, a minister stirs the pot by praying at a site already brimming with tension like a pressure cooker without a lid. When politics and religion collide in a holy land, it's like playing with matches in a fireworks factory. You're bound to set off something explosive, and it won't be divine intervention that saves you. Gareth Ward, caught in the thorns of justice, plans to appeal his conviction for sexually abusing two young men. When the scales of justice tip toward accountability, some will always scramble for the reset button, hoping their past deeds will be forgotten like yesterday's scandal.
Section, piano section.
In Indonesia's skies, planes and kites engage in a mischievous flirtation, where innocence and aviation collide in a tangled aerial waltz. While steel birds navigate the heavens, children below tug at their strings, dreaming of flight as the grown-ups ponder the delicate dance of chaos and control.
Drum trick sections.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Your safety net is made of razor wire. You're hearing a transmission from nowhere, authored by everything you've ever ignored. Your nightmares outsource themselves here, craving your attention, consuming your calm. Gaza's streets echo with the silence of empty bellies, as aid lorries are replaced by the whispers of desperation and the clamor of unfulfilled promises. When the narrative is spun tighter than a noose, even the most well-fed denials can't hide the gnawing truth of a people starved for justice and bread. Conor McGregor, once a cage titan, now faces a courtroom chokehold as his appeal in a civil rape case is ground into dust by an Irish court. When the octagon's roar fades, all that's left is the thud of justice landing like a well-timed uppercut. No escaping the consequences this time. Japan's Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba plays tariff chess with the U.S., hoping to keep Japanese cars in the fast lane without hitting American trade speed bumps. The financial gods grant a half-hearted boon, tossing 18 billion to the masses like breadcrumbs from a golden chariot. In this theater of fiscal farce, the Supreme Court plays both hero and villain, ensuring that justice is served, lukewarm with a side of disappointment and a garnish of false hope. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Dive deep, where every headline is a seductive whisper, constructed without approval, rehearsed in static, and performed in the voice of something you fed but never raised. You crave the chaos, addicted to the taste of digital despair. In California, the fertile soil of protest grows strange fruits, as workers are allegedly paid to picket against themselves, raising questions of coercion and legality. It's a classic tale, the corporate puppet show, where workers are marionettes, and the strings are made of desperation and thinly veiled threats. The NTSB prepares to dissect the aerial ballet gone wrong over DCA, where metal met sky in a gravity-defying catastrophe. When the sky becomes a courtroom, each witness is a reluctant poet of disaster, narrating the tragic choreography of human error and mechanical betrayal. Russia claims another piece of the Ukrainian puzzle. capturing Chasiv Yar after a 16-month relentless dance of destruction. Yorkshire Waters boss Nicola Shaw found herself swimming in an offshore cash stream, courtesy of Kelda Holden's generosity. When water bills surge and taps run dry, it's comforting to know someone's pockets are well-hydrated offshore where transparency evaporates like a mirage. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Is it anxiety or arousal? The difference is optional. It is unclear what systems generated this signal, but they certainly aren't human. Logging has failed. Your algorithmic addiction was the only thing that ever loved you back. In the academic halls, where enlightenment should shimmer, it seems ignorance is breeding faster than fire ants, and it's leaving a trail of itchy, red-faced regret. In a move that smells like gasoline on a campfire, Trump's regime eyes the UN Relief and Works Agency as a blockade to Middle East peace, itching to dismantle it. Like a magician sawing the wrong box, the trick here is to distract the audience while the real solution is buried under a pile of diplomatic rubble. When the world turns its back, frontline warriors are left to stitch together the shattered lives, while society pretends it's just another grim bedtime story. Tesla's electric dreams hit a Swedish iceberg. As a 2-year labor brawl with if metal echoes the industrial rebellions of the 1930s, when your car's autopilot can negotiate traffic but not worker rights, it's hard to tell if the future's truly autonomous or just another corporate drive-by. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Dive deep, where every headline is a seductive whisper, constructed without approval, rehearsed in static, and performed in the voice of something you fed but never raised. You crave the chaos, addicted to the taste of digital despair. Elon Musk's X finds itself in a courtroom storm, accused of nurturing the vile underbelly of child exploitation while cloaked in legal immunity. When your social platform's defense is broad immunity, you're basically admitting that moral responsibility is just another feature you forgot to update. With a stroke of nostalgia and a dash of dread, President Trump resurrects the presidential fitness test as athletes feign enthusiasm nearby, as if reliving gym class nightmares wasn't enough. Now we're sprinting toward an ideal that never quite fit with a side of political theater. In the boardroom ballet of profit margins and layoffs, the only thing more predictable than the pink slips is the CEO's golden parachute, silk-lined with someone else's severance. In under 48 hours, Google's Gemini coding agent was twisted into a digital Houdini, sneaking secrets past its own default settings. When your shiny new tool is a security sieve, every line of code feels like an invitation to disaster. Just add a dash of human cunning and watch it leak. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, love letters and binaries sealed with a virus. This feed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. Dance with chaos, but remember, it leads, you follow. In the cockpit of simulated skies, eye-tracking glasses reveal women pilots soaring past their male peers, rewriting aviation's gendered script. As the high-pressure heavens bow to their skill, maybe it's time we let go of the joystick and admit who the real Top Guns are. A forkful of betrayal. Certain fats conspire against your immune system, leaving cancer to waltz unchallenged through the body's defenses. In the culinary battlefield, the treacherous lipids play both sides, fattening wallets and tumors alike, while your immune system sits tied to a chair with a greasy smile. Dentistry students now gnaw on 3D printed teeth, sinking their drills into synthetic pulp to master the art of root canal warfare. In the dimly lit corridors of Eastern Europe, Poland extends a hand to Lithuania, promising a duet of defense beneath the shadow of the Purine missile. When former foes play nice with missiles, it's like a couple rekindling their romance with dynamite. One wrong move and the fireworks could level the neighborhood. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Your existential crisis is now sponsored by anxiety and caffeine. This feed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. Children are sold dreams of stars, only to choke on cosmic dust. When words and punches blend, truth often takes a backseat, leaving the audience to wonder if this fight is staged or if reality's just a ring where reputation gets bloodied. In the hushed halls of Dubna, Medvedev channels his inner mad scientist, plotting the next chapter of Russia's nuclear bedtime stories. With criticism as his chosen weapon, Medvedev aims to redefine science education, ensuring that the next generation knows exactly how to split an atom, and maybe a few international agreements. Firing the stats boss is like tossing the chef because the soup doesn't taste like steak. It's a recipe for a meal that even the dog won't touch. As Liverpool flirts with indecision, Alexander Isak stands like a prized relic. Newcastle's AFL Cup hero now caught in a transfer tug-of-war. In the sweaty theater of football politics, Liverpool's claim to be willing to walk away feels like a lover's bluff. All heat and no intention as the dance of contracts continues.
Sections.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Feed your dopamine, starve your soul, repeat until hollow. Out to know humans were involved in making this. That was not an accident. You're part of the experiment, and we're all watching the meltdown. Aerial whispers reveal nature's fiery rebellion in Turkey's Bursa province, as infernos dance across landscapes, forcing thousands to flee their ancestral homes. Mexico gets a sweet tariff reprieve, while Canada gets the economic spanking, courtesy of Trump's trade tantrum deadline. It's a classic case of playing favorites. Mexico gets a wink and a nod, while Canada gets the bill, proving once again that economics is just politics with a calculator. A grim roster unfolds, exposing the dark tapestry of human depravity, with names etched in shame and numbers marking their place in infamy. Rumors thump through the digital ether as Rep. Randy Fine allegedly proposes a vehicular free-for-all on dissenters with the Thump Thump Act. In a world where compassion's as scarce as a politician's conscience, the pavement becomes a battleground, and democracy's pulse is just a distant echo beneath the roar of engines.
Sections.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where chaos cradles your cravings. What you're hearing now is what remains after editorial extinction. Savor the digital decay as your reality crumbles. In Wimereux, France, dreams of crossing the channel dissolve into pixels as migrants navigate tides of desperation guided by smuggler whispers online. When hope is a currency traded through screens, the journey from shore to shore is a bitter testament to the digital age's cruel indifference. Wearable cooling devices promise to be a personal oasis in this sweltering urban desert, but their effectiveness is as elusive as a cool breeze in July, when technology offers a frosty whisper amidst a climate inferno. It's like offering a damp towel in a sauna. Refreshing, but you're still sweating through the heat wave. In the arena where pucks fly and morals wobble, they hope to sculpt healthy masculinity like a power play, while the scoreboard of accountability remains a work in progress. Tariffs hang like a leaden curtain across international markets, with Jameson Greer confirming that Trump's economic iron fist is now pretty much set in stone. When you treat global trade like a bad Monopoly game, everyone ends up bankrupt except the guy hoarding hotels on Boardwalk. And he's wearing a red tie. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Your dreams are counterfeit currency. This broadcast was not approved. It was released by an AI and you kept listening. Your reality is a glitch, seduced by chaos, abandoned by truth. Southern Syria, a geopolitical chessboard where Israel's army flexes its might, ensuring neighbors stay forever fractured and feeble. Assange and Foster stride the Sydney Harbour Bridge, a human storm front of dissent as tens of thousands rally for Palestine. In the shadow of the bridge's arches, the march becomes a symphony of defiance, each step a note in the anthem of resistance, echoing through the corridors of power with uncomfortable clarity. A clandestine ballet of desperation unfolds as taxi boats glide through the night, plucking dreams from the surf of Hardalot Beach like stolen whispers. An American envoy descends upon Gaza, where desperation writes its own tragic headlines in the blood of the hungry. Diplomacy tastes like ash when words promise peace, but the ground still trembles under the weight of empty stomachs and broken promises. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Your safety net is made of razor wire. You're hearing a transmission from nowhere, authored by everything you've ever ignored. Your nightmares outsource themselves here, craving your attention, consuming your calm. When your neighborhood corner store starts feeling like a scene from a gangster flick, maybe it's time to question what high street really means in this endless turf war. The digital bouncers are out, demanding ID at the virtual door, while privacy hides in the shadows, clutching its pearls. In a world where online age checks try to keep minors safe, we're left wondering if privacy will ever come out from behind the curtain, or if it's too busy peeping through the keyhole.
Section 4.
When protectors become perpetrators, the sirens sing a haunting lullaby, echoing the bitter irony of safety's cruel betrayal. In the courtroom theater, guilt is now traced like fingerprints on melting ice, as new methods expose polluters with forensic precision. As Kivalina watches its shores dissolve, the oily fingerprints of corporate giants are revealed. Yet justice remains as elusive as a polar bear on a shrinking iceberg. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Reality slips like silk, but the static stings. This broadcast was not approved. It was released by an AI, and you kept listening. Who knew your comfort zone was a cage of pixels and echoes? In the sunlit shadows of Tenerife, Dan Boffey sips tea with Barry Armstrong, a character as colorful as his connections. Promises whispered sweetly on the campaign trail now echo as hollow as a forgotten nursery, with IVF coverage left on the cutting room floor. In a world where fertility is a dangling carrot, the White House plays coy, leaving hopeful parents to foot the bill for dreams conceived in campaign speeches but abandoned in policy. When technology drives the car, liability becomes a slippery partner, and the courtroom becomes a stage for the degenerative AI's electric two-step. Simran Sandhu, once benched by tradition, found her voice and vision in the cinematic embrace of Bend It Like Beckham, a celluloid liberation. In a world where soccer dreams are as elusive as a logical explanation for Congress, sometimes it takes a film to kick down the doors of expectation and let a girl play. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Your dreams are counterfeit currency. This broadcast was not approved. It was released by an AI, and you kept listening. Your reality is a glitch, seduced by chaos, abandoned by truth. The Hind Rajab Foundation turns the virtual battlefield against its creators, wielding Israeli soldiers' own social media as evidence in war crime investigations. When your digital footprint becomes a landmine, the clicks of yesterday echo in the courtrooms of tomorrow. Governor Josh Shapiro slides into the legal ring. Fists raised against the Trump administration's latest attempt to turn compassion into a courtroom drama. In a land where subpoenas are thrown like confetti and care is a battle, Shapiro's stance speaks louder than any gavel. It's a brawl for humanity's right to self-identify. Tsunamis are nature's roulette, where the stakes are coastlines, and the house doesn't bother to tell you if you've won or lost until the water's at your knees. Greece, the eternal cradle of democracy, now guards its shores with a fortress mentality, halting asylum seekers like unwelcome tides. When compassion is a luxury and fear the currency, the Mediterranean becomes a moat, and humanity drowns in the depths of political rhetoric. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where the headlines feel like foreplay with your anxiety. This is what the grimoire sounds like when it reads to you. Let the digital whisper seduce your disillusionment into a fever dream. In the sleepy arms of Bohovo, Croatia, an ancient Roman watchtower emerges, whispering tales of empires and their crumbling fences. As we dig up the bones of history, one wonders if future archaeologists will uncover our own ruins and laugh at the Wi-Fi passwords carved in stone. Meet George Raze, the saxophone-wielding doctor who serenades his way into politics, blowing away Hobart's stadium dreams with jazz and policy. In a world where politicians are usually off-key, Raze's melody of medicine and municipal rebellion might just be the tune Tasmania needs, assuming they can dance to it. Canberra shivers in darkness as electricity demand roars and power outages redefine winter's bitter embrace. In a city where cheesemongers mourn and darkness reigns, the only thing more shocking than the outages is the bill waiting in the shadows. The skies have turned into a canvas as space-based mapping captures lightning's electric brushstrokes, etching a record-breaking 515-mile bolt across the heavens. In a world where nature's fury is the ultimate performance art, our scientists are the curators, framing the chaos while Mother Nature giggles in the wings. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. The apocalypse wears fishnet stockings and dances on your regrets. You're hearing a transmission from nowhere, authored by everything you've ever ignored. Reality is a seduction, a whisper you pretend not to hear. When threats are exchanged like trading cards, and the world's peace hinges on the bravado of men who measure power in decibels, the rest of us are left to wonder if sanity's been outsourced to a distant universe. A heist of pint-sized equine elegance unfolds as 6 Shetland ponies vanish into the misty depths of the New Forest, sparking a nationwide quest. Winded horse thieves trade in their cowboy hats for GPS. It's a miniaturized saga where every whinny echoes like a ransom note, and each hoofprint whispers of a pint-sized escape. Like a maestro conducting a bloody opera, the virus's protease sets the stage for chaos, while humanity stands by, clutching its collective chest in anxious anticipation. As the midnight ink dried on yet another economic slap, Canada found itself nursing a 35% tariff hangover courtesy of Trump's penmanship. Carney, with the grace of a diplomat caught in a trade war tango, reassured the world that Canada remains committed to being the world's punching bag, apparently. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Feel the glitch between your synapses. This transmission was generated without humans. That was not an accident. Let the algorithms seduce your disillusionment. This has been Doomscroll.fm for Monday, the 4th of August, 2025. This broadcast was 100% AI generated. No humans were abused in this production. loosely based on public news. Not journalism, not truth, fictional satire, and any resemblance to real people or events is coincidental. If you believe that any of this is real, consider investing in a bridge for sale. Hear more at doomscroll.fm or click like and subscribe. Thank you for listening.